Greetings and welcome back, everyone, to Into the Nexus, the podcast all about Heroes of the Storm. I'm Garrett, here as always with Kyle. How are you doing, Fergusson?
I'm doing good.
Just good? Just good. How's your games treating you this week?
They're fine. Yeah, I'm a little bored of Johanna, honestly. I don't want her on the enemy side. My team wants her on my side. I'm still playing a bit of Rhaegar. Every once in a while, it'll get banned because someone's doing Zul'jin, maybe, and we want to get rid of it. In like that one instance, you'll never guess what I'm playing.
What is that one instance?
Stitches.
You're playing Stitches.
Yes.
Okay. So why? Why are you playing Stitches?
Well, first of all, I probably would have played Stitches a long time ago if it wasn't for the quick match load up screen because he's hideous there. And once you're in game, it doesn't really matter. You know, he's big, he's recognizable, he's easy to see. He's got, tons of regen. He's awesome. He's got a great kit. But honestly, every time I went with all the mismatch, I've got a thing with teeth. I've got this reoccurring dream I won't get into, but teeth falling out. There's a little, the two things I'm most afraid of. One is grays because I grew up in New Mexico and they're freaking horrifying. And the second is messed up teeth falling out of my mouth.
Okay. All right. Well, for me, Stitches, it's those nipples of his. They look like old pepperonis. Sure. And they gross me out. But I'm glad you got over your personal issues with Stitch's appearance, but you haven't given me one solid strategic reason you find yourself playing the Abomination.
All right, the real reason is I need regen tanks. Arthas is really out for me right now. The taxation on my team in terms of keeping his health high is just awful. And I will take every bit of healing from my support. My Morales, my Anduin. We're not even talking about Brightwing. Like, good luck, Arthas, until 10 with Brightwing. And even then, he just is dying right now. And it's really sad. I really enjoyed him 2 seasons ago now. Tried him out a little bit here and there. Used to be a great, Greymane counter. Now there's a lot of Alarax. And
yes, there are a ton of Alarax. You know what else there's a lot of? There's a lot of Sylvanas and there's a lot of Malthael. And those two do not care about your big health pool on your tank.
We've entered a really pokey meta very quickly. It used to be my thought philosophy was Greymane dives you, you have an aura, he gets stuck in it, he doesn't get in the back line, and everything's peachy, and Arthas wins. Alarak, my first thought this week when I started facing just tons of Alarax was, if I've got an aura, I turn my aura, you pull me in, sure, you silence me, but it doesn't matter, because what was I going to cast anyway? My aura is already on, it doesn't turn off when you silence me, and you're now stuck in it and we win the day. Hurrah. And that's just, you just die. I think maybe Death Coil healing is just way too low to recover from anything like that. Auto attack Arthas is really big right now, by the way. Like solo lane, everything into your trait, massive regen, big hits, anti-Misha, like auto attacks are great. And people are starting to mix Syndragosa with that even. And that is the better way to play Arthas right now. I have to be in main tank, almost always Laws of Hope for Johanna to make sure I can get my own health back up because Brightwing is not going to get it there.
Yep.
And the only other tank that has that ability, in my opinion, right now is Stitches. And he's awesome at it. He has huge regen. Garrosh's self-heal is butts. Just from day one, there was kind of this cute haunt. I mean, when Garrosh came out, we were still in Haunted Mines. There's this cute, I'm in the Infernal Shrines, kill a minion, get regen. But for the most part, that regen is absolute butts, and he's super weak to poke, which you said Chromie is everywhere at the moment.
I don't think I mentioned Chromie, but yeah, that was going to be my next point is right now, dude, Chromie is moving rapidly up I think I'm going to ban this hero list. I don't want to deal with Chromies. The Chromies are eating my lunch. In almost every game, I end up against a Chromie, unless my team has a solid comp to contend, to actually lock down and secure the kill on the Chromie. And more often than not, dealing with a Chromie appears to be the weak link with a lot of the players I have ended up playing heroes with lately.
She's dramatic. It seems like Chromie players have really grabbed onto chronic conditions, which allows her to move faster, or at least slows down her enemies. And she is getting in some bizarre positions and just wrecking face. And then, of course, you stack on top of that slowing sands, and you've got yourself a complete zone denial area. The bolts still move plenty fast compared to other mages at the moment with the movement speed change. It's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. I really think it was something I don't think we thought of when the movement change was first implemented into this game. But it's that heroes like Chromie and Mouthfeel, who can talent into even faster movement speed, are really abusing it at the moment. I have so to combat this. So I've been having an issue with the Chromie. All right, can't stay stuck to the Chromie. Can't complete the kill. Well, you know who can stick to the Chromie? Malthael. Do you know who else I've been losing to a lot? Malthael. So what have we always said here, Kyle? You having trouble? You looking at your win rates? You noticing some patterns? You noticing some things you're losing against? Well, you should probably ban those things or play them yourself. And I hate Chromie, playing her and playing against her. So I've decided to go with Malthael, and that has been my project this week. And I would like to, I'm happy to announce that my project is coming together nicely.
Awesome.
Malthael is really working for me. And I don't know why it took me this long since the 10% change to realize this. But Malthael is just another solid solo laner who can report faster than any other hero in the game to the team fight.
You're also not missing out on a lot of power by taking that build. Rhaegar going movement speed feels like it cuts you out of a huge amount of damage, eventually mana regen.
Oh, God.
Because of the electric charge.
Yes. Yeah. Whereas at level 1 on Malthael, I'm just like, yeah, sure. I mean, I don't want to hand wave the other talents away entirely, but being able to just circumnavigate the basically, like, even I ended up in an unranked match on what's the new StarCraft map everyone hates? Warhead Junction. Warhead Junction. It was just trivial. The size of that map didn't matter to me at all. It was hilarious. By the way, this is actually the last game I played right before lunch, and then I go to lunch, and then I come to this podcast. How fast do you think Doribo and I won that Warhead Junction?
Well, if you're going to brag about it, I'm going to go 12 minutes.
10
nice.
minutes and change Warhead Junction. I didn't know that was possible.
Pretty fast.
Yeah. We missed out on basically no XP, and then just treated it like a Towers of Doom. We just stacked the bottom lane in a map where you could attack the core. And yeah, it was ridiculous. But anyway, I digress. I'm getting into a personal game anecdote just because it was fun. But Malthael very much working out for me. And in the couple of cases I've had to fight against the Malthael, I've been going back to Thrall. Because getting that the self-healing at what level is that? 7? When you get the...
Yeah, the ancestral health steal and equal health to you.
When you get that, and then at 13, when you can activate your trait, maybe the Malthael gets you with last rites once or twice over the course of the game before you hit like 13. But then you hit 13, and when combined with the 7, you make yourself look like a juicy last rites target, and then suddenly you're out of range of the kill.
Oh, it's awesome. You end up doing the echo of elements. You just get your stacks. It's kind of weird. You play kind of dumb because you're like, stack. I know team fight's coming. So, Wolf, the lane, get me stacks. Then you get your Ancestral Wrath, consume 8 stacks, 15% of their health becomes 150% health to you. And, well, I was using it to bust Diablos, so I don't really run it anymore because no Diablos at the moment. But it's great.
Yeah, a lot of thralls. I mean, I've seen going back to follow through, but I've been sticking with Ancestral Wrath and Frostwolf's Grace. But that's only because the only time I've been taking thralls right now are when I don't get the Malthael and have to fight against it myself. Doesn't always work. The killer, the kiss of death when I'm thralling to try and counter the Malthael is well-timed CC. Yeah.
How's what about Ragnaros? Because you're talking about you know, we're talking about the main melee solo laners here, and Ragnaros is the third in this case. Thrall, Malthael, and then Ragnaros.
Thrall, Malthael, and yeah, Ragnaros I started working on last week, and then it was like, it's like a Control Warrior in Hearthstone. I don't want to purposely sign myself up for a game that is that long.
That's fair.
I don't feel great on Ragnaros when I'm ahead, and yes, I do have the comeback potential from behind, but I just would rather win.
Yeah,
I know Ragnaros is fine when he's ahead, but I feel like if I'm on Malthael or I'm on Thrall or I'm on my tried and true Rexar, then I'm better off on any of those options when I'm ahead than I am on Ragnaros.
Sure.
So just still not for me. Still not for me. It's fun every now and then, but yeah, I mean it's working for a lot of other people. I mean, if you've been watching the stats, Ragnaros is still climbing.
He's doing fine. He's doing great. I agree with you 100%, though. I think that he is a massive delay machine, and there's a lot of miscasts, in my personal opinion. I would really like just to put it out on the airwaves that you should wait for the boss to stop moving and then cast the wave so that it stands in it rather than walking through it towards your base. Just let it reach the wall, stop, and then wave. But I've also got, I think my biggest problem with Ragnaros is I'm like, this is a team fight ability, and I'm going to wave the lane I'm currently fighting in, and I'm not soaking different worlds. And
well, I mean, if you're looking at talking about a defensive team fight, you're double right, I think, because just today saw Ragnaros shoot the lava wave at a boss while it's in transit, and I know the team is going to push with that boss, and I ended up being right. So why would you fire it off when they're in transit, when they're not whacking on the wall, when they're not in spitting distance of the entire team to do something on the back of the lava wave?
Yeah,
like it's double right in that if you're thinking about also as a team fight, because it's going to be most effective when the boss is locked onto something.
Granted, I don't use it for soak in that way because I'm saving it for these big team fight moments, and I think that's where I fail. It's the old Vala problem, right? With the Hungering Arrow, you're like, oh, stitches, boo, boo, oh, give me some stacks. Well, yeah, I'm doing it.
Listen, Kyle, all I want you to do is just keep that cooldown running. And then eventually you'll hit 20 and you'll have two of them anyway. So keep one of them always running and save the second one for that level 20 team fight because you're Ragnaros. So it doesn't matter how bad you're losing, you're going to get to level 20.
I ain't got no time. I'm tank main right now, and otherwise I'm support.
And I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for that. You know how last week I said I thought I cracked the code of why my games were rough last week and it was tanks?
Yeah.
Flipped. Everyone knows how to tank. I've got some great tanks this week. It's supports. I've got my rough losses this week were because of like solo Lily or Morales into a lot of AoE damage supports. And it just fell as when you're looking at it, you're just going, oh, I don't know if this is going to work out, and it doesn't, and your concerns were valid.
How's your points?
Stabilizing. They're still weird, but we're into the 200s now, Kyle.
Okay.
I do feel that the system is intentionally giving me a middle finger, though, because it always gives me ever so slightly fewer points when I win than when I lose. One of the times it was literally 1 point. Like I went down 1 point more than when I won my next game.
I mean, it makes sense, right? Because the bell curve, if you're in plat, they want to work you to gold, the highest population.
I guess so, yes.
Because I'm seeing the same thing. I'm doing 200 on a loss, 198 on a win. And every once in a while, there's one game where it's just stacked with masters and I get a 240. And that to me sounds like success. I'm just fighting a lot of masters. There is a divide, it seems, at Diamond 3 halfway. If I'm over the halfway point, game's full of masters. I'm back, it's diamonds.
You want to know what makes me the saltiest about it, though? It's that it feels to me when that happens, and if you're in my shoes, which I am at this exact moment, which is at the gate of the next league, that they haven't gotten rid of promotion demotion matches. Because 3 times this week, I would have just gone to the next rank up had they not dicked me out of like a single point.
Uh,
It happened 3 times. So I'm just like, I still have promotion matches and it's pissing me off.
There's been a lot of talk about possible bugs. Seems like they don't exist. We heard from a lot of people over the last week who continue to experience the extremes of Bronze 5. And that does seem to be a feature of this current method of MMR rank.
I haven't heard that.
The 20s, the 20 points, the 6 points, the 16s, just the lack of momentum if you are truly perhaps negative MMR or near that 0, and it just can't take you up.
Oh, you're talking about the bronze. Sorry.
Yeah,
No. We talked about this last week. Sorry, I thought you were talking about something different. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say to that. I mean, we kind of talked about it. It seems like it's proven that, yes, that 100% exists.
Yeah.
We haven't gotten a developer reply anywhere calling it out, but we're over a week in now. We're still seeing it. So it sure would appear that is the case. So I don't know. It certainly hurts the gamification for sure, but I don't know. I wonder how many players are affected by it. Because according to a developer comment, according to something we can point to and say this is a fact, the majority of players are in gold.
Yeah.
And bronze is smaller than it used to be. But that's not solace to anyone being affected by that.
No. And it is also the beginning of a fresh new season with a ranked quest that gives you gold. And as often in the first 2 weeks of any season, there's going to be a lot of returning players. Many of them continue to be invested in the game through maybe shows like this, through streams, and they have perhaps excellent game knowledge. Mm-hmm. And they are very toxic and tilty. And boy, that MVP screen sometimes doesn't help out because it's like, nice job, bull work for you, or you stand on the pad for the max. And they're like, oh, I sure was right. It sure was good of myself to remove my participation from team fights and stand on the objective a lot. And
yeah,
they receive that information more because they don't play through the whole season. I hope everybody understands that and that they will continue to play if they're enjoying the game. There are other avenues to go enjoy and come back later in the middle of the season, perhaps. You know, we've talked about gaming diet before, of a sense. You got to have many different games you're playing in order to be a happy person. You can't just eat meat all day.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this is where it's all anecdotal, right? Because we're not seeing hard numbers on who's sticking around for how long, where they're going. Are they? But in a week's time, usually draft is wonky for me. Usually ranked league is wonky for me for at least the first 2 weeks after a season roll. But here we are in week 2. It's stabilized. My games have been good. They've been normal, but I would say I'm experiencing normal levels of tilt as opposed to last week where it seemed like everyone was ferociously angry all the time for whatever reason. I just assumed everyone last week had a cat and that cat crapped in their slipper. This week,
it's a tough way to start your day.
Seems back to normal. I had a couple weird games as far as support, but overall drafts made sense to me. People communicated. Whether we won or I actually had multiple games where I lost and people were still GGing on our team. It's not all roses for sure, but my experience this week has been we're back to normal. My queues have been super short, so it doesn't seem like there's been a mass exodus by any means, but we'll see. So far, it's been a good week in Heroes for me. I haven't had too much upward momentum myself personally, but I feel I've made quite a few breakthroughs for my own play. And I've been digging it.
Awesome.
Yeah. So we do have some news to talk about this week. Before we get into that, we want to thank those of you supporting us over at patreon.com/ITN. If you're a producer, meaning you are Declan, you are Cheesy Bob, Chris K, or Robert M., we want to thank you so very, very much for your support. And to some of our most recent patrons, PLCM, Jean or Jean with a J. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. And Stephen L. Thank you very much for the support, all of you. And if you enjoy Into the Nexus, if you want to get into our Patreon bonanzas where we play and head into unranked with those of you supporting us, you can sign up over at patreon.com/ITN. You will also get access to the patron-only Discord just by attaching your Discord information to your Patreon account. And other perks can be found over at patreon.com/ITN. We thank you for the support. And now let's get into this week's Heroes of the Storm news.
We're on, boys! Ha ha! Let's liven up this place!
Point me to the stage.
Stay a while and listen.
It's been a pretty quiet week, which I think is okay. Last week we got a new hero. We had the actual first season of Storm League, and obviously the changes that came with it, with mapping our MMRs to our rank. And I gotta say, we're not holding back when we notice weird things, but overall, I think the rollout's been okay. Like it doesn't seem completely bonkers. This isn't when performance-based matchmaking came out and just broke the game.
No, it's been sane. It's a stepping stone to where we're going. Right now, I would love to see Iron League below Bronze, so those players have something to achieve. Even if we just want to make it a place where you can never lose points, like Magic the Gathering does, like Hearthstone now, or always did, I think. Is that newer, maybe? Yeah, that's newer. Just somewhere where people can win and not feel bad when they lose.
But we have so many modes already.
No, I'm just talking about a league again, like bronze lower than bronze is iron, and
I mean at a certain point, I don't know. I really just want a depth comment on that particular, that particular issue, because it does seem from anecdotes within the community to be a proven issue, but we're not hearing anything on the dev front.
We do now wait 3 weeks for a hero update as well, and any balancing. We know they're watching Li Ming and Kel'Thuzad the closest, even if I'm seeing a lot of Artana space lasers still, and I'm just like, what's happening? Why are you believing this is great? But whatever, blinds don't work for every occasion, sure. Outside of that, we got a little cure update in the form of bugs.
Yeah. It turns out we were doing a little more damage than we should have been if we took fatal wounds at level 1, which a lot of us were doing.
Just about everybody.
Yeah. So it wasn't supposed to deal bonus damage to enemies if they had less than 5 stacks, but it was. They fixed that.
While at maximum stacks, Blood Rage's Bleed deals 50% more damage to enemy heroes below 50% health. So you had to have all the stacks. This was dealing that damage anyway for them being below 50% health. That may be why, a lot of you may have died behind a wall while running away. But the real factor here, as someone who is tanking the Kiras out there, is that Fatal Wounds, the pop, was also receiving 50% bonus damage. And that's a lot of damage. That's a big old crit. And that shouldn't have been happening at all. This is just the dot damage that should be affected by this talent.
Yeah, so you can still get those sweet, retreating behind the wall kills if you have full stacks and you're taking advantage of Fatal Wounds' bonus here. But you shouldn't be getting a substantial burst of damage upon activating your Blood Rage.
Which is great, and this has really reined in the hero quite a bit already. There is a lot more counterplay options while running away with very little health when you're not popped for such massive amounts. It should help out too the feeling that a lot of Lunaras were having, that Kira's poison is just way better, and adding on a slow or increasing the number of stacks, which is duration based, was just real sad for poor Lunara out there. And I'm seeing a lot of them, actually. It's a high mobility auto attacker in this current meta.
Yeah. She works. We kind of expected her to when the movement speed change was first introduced, but I like being right, Kyle.
Feels good.
While we're on the subject of Kira, let's talk about where she has landed a week after release. Last week, upon launch, we took a look at the stats available to us on fan sites, and it looked like she was coming in under the 50% mark, under where we like our heroes to be. But it appears after a full week with the hero that she has bounced back. Although I'm curious, because the hotfix landed yesterday, if we're going to see a backward slide.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody in the Masters League area was performing this build. And it can't be stated enough that the deaths to Kira were during those runaway moments in the stand and fighting, more positional-based team objectives. Kira was like any other melee assassin. It wasn't a huge deal. But when things would break off and that pop, that activatable blood rage would go for that massive hit, that's when people would go down.
And we're going to talk about a very, very cool Li Ming build that's getting popular right now. And I think that's part of the reason, because it's a really good way to build Li Ming if you want to fight Kira.
Yeah, yeah.
But she seems great to me. I mean, I had multiple games fighting alongside Akira last night in Storm League, and she certainly seemed oppressive still. It was working out. It was working out very well.
Yeah, she doesn't get to stand in auto attack very much, so some of her talents that are tied directly to that are not rocking at the moment. I'm mostly seeing, even after this change, a continuation of the Blood Rage build, doing that upstage while popping your Blood Rage against at least 2 heroes who have those stacks on them. You avoid the next 4 basic attacks. That's a huge way to avoid getting worn down, getting some sort of CC put on you, like a Maiev tether or other abilities that might be attached to auto attacks. Final Strike is the one that everybody's taking. The cleanup potential is now even further on Final Strike because we got rid of the Blood Rage bug. So if you want to complete that kill, and often they will run to the well and you have more than enough range to be like Hanzo and just get him down, that's how you're going to win this game, is continual picks like that. Your health is pretty high as far as health goes, but it wears down fast, which is why that upstage, that evasion, is so popular. If we're going to see buffs to her, I expect it to be in the auto attack range and maybe something with unrelenting strikes. I think Final Strike is kind of in the right zone. We're just not dodging that 1 second wind up, and even then it has to through the ground for a bit, and you can move. I see a lot of hammers, whoever it is, just run away in big straight lines, and you can watch the thing. This is something in my coaching I'm dealing with a lot. It's not something I can be like, oh, just do this, this, and this, and now you're a great player. It's something really nebulous, but a lot of your cameras out there suck. And it just in the fact that you're always shooting at things you don't see. You're Li Ming, you're Chromie, and your camera is entirely on, like, let's say you're doing that cursed hollow up or below the boss curse. Your camera's like right on top of the bruiser camp, and you're just firing blindly forward. Why? There's no Zera tool that's gonna like come from behind it. If you're Chromie, what are you gonna do about it? You put down a time trap and put that camera all the way forward. So when you're running away from Kira, like, look at her and use the mini map to run away as Hammer, and then use the mini map to curve downwards when you get scared.
Yeah, I mean, it's all well and good. I think for me, it's been the hecticness of the games I'm seeing with heroes like the Chromie that's being in positions you're not used to seeing a Chromie being in. It's just causing a lot of splitting. And when there is that splitting, say 1 or 2 of your teammates goes to chase a Chromie, but the other 3 don't, suddenly the rest of the team that isn't Chromie is just in there just killing everyone. And so if maybe you want to look at the Kira, you want to keep an eye on her because you've taken too much damage, you need to remove yourself from the fight, but there may be 3 other heroes you're also worried about killing you, and you're not keeping an eye on what I think is actually too subtle of a windup on Final Strike. That 1 second before she throws it down, I don't notice it half the time.
How do you respond to audio cues as a player? Because you're
usually
an artist,
by the time I notice them, I'm dead.
Yeah, because that's interesting because it does have a really unique sound. It's like Mosh Pit in that way. It does this, and like her sound design's pretty unique. And I appreciate that they found such a cool way to personify her abilities through the sound. And Final Strike's wind up is the sound. The animation in the thick of things is her like grabbing her sword, almost doing like an Arthas and Tragosa slam thing. And it's not going to be noticeable, but you got to listen for it.
Yeah, and I play with my game sound pretty low. I've also been duoing quite a bit, so I'm prioritizing voice chat over game sound.
Yeah.
But maybe I need to get in there and turn sound effects up and not just master slide everything.
But we can't expect, I mean, there's different kind of learners too in the world. So maybe some more visual effects, more, blady bits in the air around her might help. Maybe a laser over her of some kind during this ability.
Maybe.
Because I'm an audio listener, learner. And when I hear things, I remember old ass jingles like mad. That's how I interact with so many different abilities. But they have to cater to other people's styles.
I mean, I don't think they have to. But yeah, no, I just more often than not find myself dying to something else if I do successfully dodge. Because chances are, if the Kira is using that ability, it means you're almost dead. No.
True.
There's a Genji, there's a Chromie. Hell, if there's just a tank on you, you're probably dead anyway.
Dragon in the chat says, if you want to get good at map awareness, play SC2. I would agree with that, except for the fact that there's no A move or no quick cast on the A. And every time I go play StarCraft, I suck for a period when I get back to Heroes because I can't quick cast the A and it sucks.
I mean, you should be stutter steppering your Marines anyway, right?
Yeah, it's easy to do with hold position there, but having to do that extra click really throws me off when I return to StarCraft these days.
Yeah. Just play co-op commanders and you don't need to micromanage your attack moving all that much.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's irrelevant. Eventually you'll just level up and you'll be so broken you won't need it.
There was a minor bug fixing for many of you who may have been confused about your loot boxes. The graphic broke. So when you received a loot box, it'd be like, you got 2 loot boxes. And then you head over to loot boxes. And if you're not like me, that's sitting on like 60 of them because you just forget to open them and you don't want anything at the moment.
I am not like you. I open them immediately.
I sit there and I say, what do I want? Is there something I'm digging for? Do I need some shards? They're like banked points. And when they come out with, let's say, that variant, that was really nice with the kind of footman look. I went through 20 some boxes, didn't get him, got the shards for it. And then, so when they add general skins, they're now in there.
Fair. To me, there's always something I want that I've forgotten about. And it's a nice surprise when I sometimes get it.
That's fair. I think you're doing it right. I'm the insane one.
Different strokes, dude. Different strokes. Moving into Blue Post from the past week, probably the most interesting one that came out of the official forums from Brett Crawford is that a Whitemane rework is incoming. I would assume if Crawford is talking about it publicly that it should be coming relatively quickly. Because it turns out that Brett Crawford was the design point on Whitemane's incoming rework, according to Brett's post on the official forums. And Brett went on to say that the main goal for the rework is to reevaluate her trait and mana interactions with a primary focus on either streamlining or removing Whitemane's level 4 talents. Brett went on to say this, of course, is going to cause ripples throughout her entire talent tree. And while Brett isn't going to give away spoilers, did tease that her aggressive Searing Lash build isn't going anywhere. It's still going to be there post rework, and it's also going to be improved, but is going to be joined, in Brett's words, by some other aggression-based basic attack talents. And if you haven't played Whitemane in a while, her level 4, the most popular talent there isn't a lot of pick diversity, is High Inquisitor, which is the casting Inquisition instantly removes all stacks of Desperation and restores 50 mana per stack removed. Unwavering Faith and Indulgence does not see a lot of play.
She's very interesting. If you haven't touched Whitemane in a while, a lot of her easier to play styles are based around clemency, which allows you to channel your Inquisition onto an ally, and it also puts the mark on them with your trait, your zeal. And then there's also your unstoppable you give intercession on a 60-second cooldown, which gives you desperation. So the desperation is what you're managing. I think she's really weird, and I'm excited to hear her getting a rework. The problem I saw was that they worked on new Tyrande and Whitemane at the same time. And I feel like they said, well, Whitemane only heals by damaging heroes, because Tyrande gets cooldown reductions and whatnot by damaging anything. So let's make sure we divide those two ideas. And it left Whitemane just kind of high and dry.
Yeah. You're having your options for what you can damage to heal your teammates. And Tyrande has like I would argue a required talent that doubles up on that.
Yeah.
Like her basic Q heal, she can do more of it if she's landing basic attacks on anything. But then you can also talent into an extra button on your board that just doubles down on getting heals off of basic attacks. And then you've got poor Whitemane who's just, I'm sorry, is there a hero around? Sorry.
I'd be really curious to hear the talent design team's philosophy on harsh discipline and virulent reaction. 2 level 13s that cause a root. Now, Stukov's happens inside his silence, so it's particularly destructive. If you're ahead, these are really easy to do. If you're behind, they're clutch moments that you pray for, because they'll be how you get back in the game. But they're so difficult to pass on. Why would you? You're just avoiding the chance to win. And you might fall behind. It could happen. And in tower range, this could win an entire game. Is that healthy?
Bake harsh discipline in and make it a quest you start the game with.
Oh, that's an interesting idea. Hide it behind a quest.
Yeah. Tie it to give Searing Lash a quest that you just start the game with. It's funny how you and I keep oscillating on our opinion of quests.
Yeah, because sometimes we're like, oh, that's real nice, good idea, and then other times we're like, oh, I just don't want to see a bunch of Searing Lashes cast for no reason. Honestly, though, you should be casting Searing Lash for no reason, because it costs no mana, and while it might not get the second wave if you don't hit a hero, you still should be casting this every 6 seconds. So I've got a different opinion than maybe Murd in here, just because it's free and really short cooldown.
Right. This is where I like to see a quest where you're not necessarily, you're not playing inefficiently for the sake of a quest.
Yeah.
Like you said, no mana. The only thing you're sacrificing here is a 6-second cooldown. That's not even that bad of a cooldown.
Interesting.
Yep. Hell, man, if I could throw a quest on Lava Wave to get people like you to cast it more often, I would.
Make it destroy X number of minions or something that increases the damage to heroes. Okay.
Yeah. But interesting nonetheless, because Whitemane was a hero I really liked when she first hit the game, and just in short order has just fallen off.
Maybe we should head back to her. Regardless of rework, Garrosh is getting a lot of bans, as he often does. He's not succeeding because we seem to be entering a really pokey meta at the moment. That was one of the big threats, perhaps, was that Gary. He was good to wail on, though. So it was this weird, like, catch-22, like, oh, Gary, he's going to be in my face. I get to auto-attack something and heal my team. But I'm also probably going to fly somewhere as Whitemane, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe next Bonanza we'll take Whitemane out for a spin and see if maybe we're just not giving her the credit she deserves.
I think she's got a great emergency button.
Yeah, definitely. She totally does. But
Scarlet Aegis.
Also, it sounds like a rework's coming in regardless, so maybe we should just wait.
Okay.
We haven't been playing her already, Kyle. I don't see any reason to get crazy now.
No, I don't really need her. I got Rhaegar, and then I go on to Stukov, which isn't exactly a trade-off. Rhaegar just makes me feel so good. It's a twisted logic, but Rhaegar's healing is just perfect because you can heal everybody. You can save your main tank or your main DPS. And if you're losing, well, then you're just like, well, my healing wouldn't possibly be enough to win this anyway. I guess we'll all die. And it never feels like your fault. I really like that aspect.
Normally, I would say, shh, don't bring attention to it. They're going to nerf him. But Johanna's just been the kitchen sink for so long now. I think Rhaegar is okay.
Yeah.
I think he's okay. He's not particularly specialized in a tech way outside. I mean, he brings a slowing totem, I guess, but yeah.
Well, in a poke meta, that thing doesn't exist. It is like it's an orb catcher. I think of it more of that way.
Makes sense. We also got kind of a peek behind the curtain of design philosophy in regards to this new age of this post esports age of Heroes of the Storm, and maybe resurrecting old overtuned talents or skills. This came from a post that got a lot of traction on the official forums this past week that suggested, and I'm summarizing here for brevity's sake, but it essentially suggested that all nerfs be reverted and the game be rebalanced around whatever the resulting power level was after all the nerfs were reverted. And I got to hand it to the Heroes team because instead of going, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, and not replying to it, they actually responded to it. AZ Jackson got in there and said that he thought that it was a fun idea to bring back some of the old greats and shone a light on some specific memorable old overtuned things like Garrosh's original Groundbreaker, which I never want to see that ever return to the game.
No.
But also Chain Bomb, KT, Battle Momentum Thrall, and S of Johan on the Ming. Maybe Li Ming. Maybe Li Ming there. The rest of those, get rid of it. And then went on to say that most of the time we remove really fun things like this is due to counterplay reasons, and they either cause too much frustration or they didn't hit the mark for having enough good back and forth gameplay to stay in the game. If everyone had something that could one-shot enemies or put them at a severe disadvantage with high reliability, I suppose it could be more fun, but then the game would be even more about who gets first strike and less about properly reacting to changing situations. And I agree with all of that because I thought this was bonkers.
And for those of you who may have been disappointed by the Chromie rework, rejoice already, because you can still be a complete asshat if you want to be. You just have to be in some really weird positions, and you have your time stop, your trap, in order to do those ridiculous things, but you have to activate it. So you're a little busier. The old ability to pierce had no counterplay. If you want to hit someone who's at a well, you now go down around through the woods and then fire behind the walls and then run away with your time trap in tow. And I think that is superior. I feel like we are in a better world where at least you have to make a positional mistake and then your skills can help you recover from that purposeful mistake. And it's talked about a lot in art, movies. There are ways to do things to tell stories. You break those rules on purpose for an advantage to, more recently subvert expectations, if you want to use that phrase.
I don't ever want to hear that phrase again.
But it's a tactical choice of the director, of the producer, to say, oh, I don't want to do it in that style because I'm going for a different effect. And I like that in video games here. I don't so much, sometimes I just want to see heroes win.
Sometimes I just want to watch an epic story play out the way you would think would be satisfying.
Sometimes Fire Lord Ozai should be the final boss, and that's okay.
Yes. I like what they've been doing, which is cherry picking things that seem like they could be reverted, like self-ancestral on Rhaegar.
Yeah.
Probably took too long. Probably took longer than we would have liked to get there, but we got there. I blanket anything, man. That drives me bananas. Anytime you say something, well, let's just do all of it at once, treat it all the same. Like this is the same reason I had a really negative knee-jerk reaction to 10% movement speed. Because I looked at it and saw that nothing else had been adjusted in the wake of that, and saw it as too ham-fisted and too quick. And I still think that's the case. I've gotten more used to it. I'm fine with it. Let's move on. But frankly, I'm surprised we didn't see a patch this week with some adjustments to key abilities, talents, whatever, what have you, as a result of the 10% change.
Blizzard has always liked its press releases, and I think we're going to be waiting the 2 week, 3 weeks nowadays for the big wave of changes that'll have Kira, as well as any sort of movement speed, ability, and projectile speed that they want to address.
Yeah. So we'll find out. But I really like the way they've been doing it. Hero by hero, ability by ability, talent by talent. I don't see any reason they should stop doing that. So, anyways, before we talk about this really rad new Li Ming build, let's thank our sponsor for today's episode, and that's Away Luggage. They are sponsoring today's episode of Into the Nexus. If you've never checked them out, they bring you first-class luggage at a coach price. You should check them out by going to awaytravel.com/Nexus, and also use the code Nexus at checkout because you're going to get $20 off a suitcase. But if you've never checked out Away's offerings, all of their luggage is really nice, very high quality. I myself have a carry-on, which is their smallest size. I love it. It's perfect for like weekend getaways. I also use it for BlizzCon. It's perfect for like a 4 or 5 day trip for me. And I have the optional ejectable battery. I know you do too, Kyle.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, those are great. You're on your carry-on, so it's with you the whole time. You can charge your devices while you're playing games. I know last time you used it to keep a charge on your phone because you were playing Roller Coaster Tycoon, which I still need to get, and I can't believe is on phones and iPads.
That's great.
But dude, I just installed Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 on my computer and been playing the crap out of it.
Nice. Well, it's a good getaway.
There's an open source version out right now that will run in 4K. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. You need to, and I'm going to be playing on my laptop, and I'm going to be using my luggage to recharge the laptop as it dies. It's wonderful.
I'm still going to try to get you into Planet Coaster. That's a good time. Same guys who did the Jurassic Park game you're enjoying.
Yes. Yeah, they're great. They're great. They've also got 4 360-degree spinning wheels on all Away luggage. They've got a TSA-approved combination lock. There's a removable, washable laundry bag that, keeps your dirty things separate from the clean. I like to use it to keep my wet things away from my dry things because I do a lot of hot tubbing when I go to hotels, Kyle. I don't care how hot it is outside.
This is a handsome beast. Let me start there. You will feel like a rock star because it is just a beauteous piece of technology that you're wheeling around, hovering along. I've got it all pre-packed. We got sometime in 3 weeks, I'm going to have a son show up. He gets to decide that. And everything's in my Away luggage suitcase for that adventure.
Yep. It's wonderful. All of this with a lifetime warranty, a 100-day trial, and free shipping on any Away order within the lower 48 states. And $20 off when you go to awaytravel.com/Nexus and use the promo code Nexus during checkout. Again, it's awaytravel.com/Nexus, promo code Nexus for $20 off a suitcase. Go check them out. Let them know we sent you. We thank them for the support. We thank you for checking out Away luggage. And now let's talk some Li Ming.
Choose a talent.
Choose a talent.
Talent? That seems generous.
I have a PhD in PvP.
There's a new Li Ming on the block, Kyle.
It sure is, and I'm seeing it everywhere.
I am not seeing it everywhere, but you brought it to my attention, and I took Li Ming out for a spin, for a test drive with this build. And did you want my surmise thoughts?
I do.
I think it's one of the most fun things I've ever done. I still think you're working way harder than you need to win a game.
Perhaps there is a reason why Chromie is currently more popular. And this build at first was like well, that's kind of interesting. Li Ming player and masters, but all right, I see what you were going for. And then I ran into a Li Ming main who was running this. I mean, we're talking down the line. it looked as though if they didn't get Li Ming, they must have left the draft because they had no other options. This was a first pick Li Ming.
Dude, no one is going to try and take your Li Ming.
No, you're fine. You can do it at any point. But, I'm glad you got it in there because it was a really skilled performance. What we're looking at here is a auto attack Li Ming. And that's probably the best way to summarize it. It does have Calamity in it. The idea is that these abilities combine to give you a very controllable throughput of damage.
Controllable burst.
Yeah.
Like it gives you what Li Ming has always felt to me she's missing, which is burst. She's a mage. I want Li Ming to do what my Jaina does.
Well, and it's seductive. You get a reset. You're back in safety when you do an arcane build. Guess what? Movement speed. It ruined the arcane build. All right. If it already was chancy, if it already was only hitting tanks and wasn't the best thing on earth, Arcane Orb is certainly out right now, and it's time to retire that thought process. What we're looking at here is the ability to use Charge Blast. Basic attacking a target recently hit by magic missile does extra damage. Well, that's pretty good if you're doing the sort of play style where maybe you're solo lane Li Ming in one of your lower leagues and you hit a building, target down that with your magic missiles, with your orb, and then get in that little bonus auto attack. You got your Calamity. You got your 13 Cannoneer, which whenever you use an ability, increase your next basic attack damage by 75% and cause it to deal ability damage, stacks up to 3 times. We're not getting insane here. If you are on Volskaya, if you are in range of orbs, you're going to do Power Hungry. But the Li Ming main suggested Ether Walker for out of lane battles, because it causes your next magic missile cast to deal 10% more damage. Also, if you have taken damage in the last 3 seconds, your teleport has no mana cost, and the cooldown is decreased by 2 seconds. So kind of like our Thrall we were talking about, kind of like your split attack on your Lunara. You will be teleporting just for the sake of getting a 10% bonus on your next magic missile in the middle of nowhere, and you're going to be sitting on a 3-second cooldown for that. So, curse is coming up. Ooh, curse is coming up. Teleport for no reason. Get your bonus damage ready, and then fire away. Plus, that's a spell that'll work into your Cannoneer. Finally, and some dev out there, some talent designers like, you guys, you finally figured out there's a talent at 16 that exists. Fireflies drastically increases the speed, decreases the travel time of magic missile. Its cooldown is reduced by 1 second, and its mana cost is reduced by 5. So now you have a 100% free teleport at all times. It's not tied to, being not hit or anything like that. And now you have very fast magic missiles, which are helping out a lot in this 10% movement speed time. And the cost is reduced. Your mana issues disappear. You were having mana issues on the orb build, probably. Your health doesn't matter. You go to websites, everyone's still saying dominance. Those builds are from 2017. Stop it. Any healer, Brightwing, anybody could take a quick fart on you and get your health back up. You don't need dominance anymore, and it's 30% of your maximum health. It's not a flat heal anymore. You just stop there. And plus, for the goodness of everything that is an alive Li Ming, this build helps you avoid Glass Cannon, which is not a good choice right now. Though I know it looks beautiful on your sweet Arcane Orb build.
You are going to die.
You will explode
when that happens.
Something.
Yeah. Dude, this build is so very, very, very fun. I was just murdering this poor Illidan on one of every game I lost. I didn't win a single game with this build, by the way, but I was smiling every single time. I just assumed the Illidan was just confused because he kept diving me and he kept dying because the guaranteed burst, like even if you don't land all your magic missiles, cool. Did you hit him with 1? Congratulations. You took Charge Blast and you're now going to burst their face with an auto attack.
It also gives you some much needed lane clear with the level 4 Charge Blast. What you can do is sort of aim deep. You're going to need a good camera for this, by the way. You're going to aim real deep, like your mouse could be on like that Illidan, but you're going to say, I don't really know if I'm going to hit him. And you're going to sort of throw your mouse out far so you aim this very wide shot. That can help you put a bunch of marks on the lane and then sort of auto attack them down. You could also put the mouse really close to you so they crisscross and they go in the sort of X.
I do that. I call it the shotgun. I call it shotgunning my magic missiles. That's what I do. Because I find with this build, because I'm doing a calamity build, I want to be teleporting on top of my targets. And if I'm leading with that, that means my next magic missiles are going to do 10% more increased damage, which is going to lead into my basic attack. So I'm doing the crisscross. I'm doing a bit of a shotgun blast with my missiles. But
you finish this off with Talros's elements because you're teleporting for no real reason a lot of the time anyway. So you're going to at least do 5% bonus power on everything you do, if not more. This is like, they did it. In my opinion, this build allows Ether Walker to be a thing. If you take damage, your teleport no longer has that reduced cooldown, but you can calamity in knowing that if you haven't taken damage, as long as you're calamitying in, you're going to get out. Then someone hits you, but it's a cooldown reduction, not a cooldown decrease in speed that turns off. So you are going to go out faster. And I think this solves the 10% movement problem. I'm sure they're going to address some things like maybe the orb speed because they don't want this to become the build. And seeing this in Masters work means that's likely going to start trickling down through the leagues.
It is so much fun. It is so much fun. To me, it feels like on par with how fun Kira's kit is in terms of things that have recently blown my mind in ways that you can play a hero in Heroes of the Storm. I really enjoyed it. Personally, I'm not going to be making the switch anytime soon. Still going to be Jaina-ing it up when I need a mage, but I can't recommend this enough. I've never wanted to recommend something more that I've lost so consistently with.
It's a good time. By the way, Wave of Force is the ability here. Disintegrate just has you standing still too long against too many abilities.
Oh, yeah. And if you're disintegrating, you're not basic attacking, you're not throwing missiles. Right. You know what Wave of Force does? It puts people at a really convenient distance to line up a magic missile hit with. And it's gnarly on a reset. Like the cleanup potential here, it's so cool. It feels so different than what we're used to with Li Ming. Like you like for years we've been getting the reset and continuing the disintegrate train, but now you're like teleporting on top of them, wave of forcing again, and like you just keep popping forward with your calamity. Like if you can actually clean up, you just feel like a boss with this build.
The nice thing is too that repulsion is just too much. Honestly, your knockback increasing by 150%. Cast range is really, really convenient, but you got teleport if you want to get a little closer anyway. Talrash's elements allowing you to stack up 20% more damage just feels better and won't ruin your team's engagements. It's okay to push them a little bit with Wave of Force, but otherwise it's just too much. Tychus has a talent like this on his grenade where you basically dismiss them to the random zone. And maybe they'll go flying into your team, but more likely you'll save their life.
Yeah, I like this build a lot. The last thing I forgot to mention is that I like the pushback and the whole kind of crux of this build being around going with a teleport, because suddenly all of those games, Kyle, I've played. Where I've been on Sonya or whatever hero where it's my job to go help the backline. I can now help the backline on as a Li Ming, which is wild. Yeah. It's fun. It really opens up a lot of different possibilities with the hero. So go check it out. We've got a link to the build in the show notes. amove.tv/ITN. Scroll down until you see the most recent episode post. It's always linked to the bottom. But let's wrap the show up with an email or two.
Darkness stopped calling.
Does anyone else hear that buzzing?
Hold on. Darkness just texted me.
You can send your emails to itncast@gmail.com. If you're a patron, make sure you attach your Discord information to your Patreon profile, and you'll automatically be added to the patron-only Discord. You can drop questions in there. That's exactly what Talcraft did. Talcraft wrote in and said, a question for the next show: what can Blizz do about toxicity? And I'm going to shorten this a bit because it's a bit of a long and multi-pointed question here. But Tao's first point is that Overwatch implemented an accommodation system in an attempt to battle toxicity. And in it, they reward players for outstanding shot calling, outstanding team play, in Tao's words, or just smelling really good. Can't remember what the third one is. And you could rank up by getting more and more accommodations, and you get rewards at levels or after a season or after a time span. I think Heroes could double down on this with skins and all of the other assets it has accumulated. It seemed effective at reducing toxicity, but that was my anecdotal experience. Point two, the MVP page is too individual. This kind of gets into what you were talking about much earlier in the show, Kyle. What if it rewarded team play rather than individual play, or a 3-person effective combo? Tying it into what you said last week, Jaina and Raynor being a great combo. What if the MVP system called these out? Great combinations with slow and damage, or good wombo combos with Zero Tool, Void Prison, and Gazlowe. You get my point. Reward team play, not individual play on the MVP screen. And hey, give more rewards or XP or gold here too. Point three, the intro dialogue with your teammates while in character is almost always negative between your character and another ally. Are they going to change this? No, but it does start the match off on a confrontational foot within a team and may have a psychological impact on our poor, impressionable, sensitive souls, or maybe just mine. Food for thought. To give energy for change. That last one is going a bridge too far for me.
I mean, it's a little tinfoily. There is a good example of this in our lives right now because we're all using Discord. There is a random chance that when you log into a server for the first time, it announces your presence. And sometimes it's like, hey, whoa, hey, gamer, this is some gamer reference. So-and-so is here. But every once in a while it does. It's a bird, it's a plane. Oh, wait, it's just gamer name. And you're like, oh, come on, bro. What the hell? And that's messed up. That needs fixing.
That's more personal, though, because it's you. It's the name you chose. It's not, Anduin mouthing off to Sylvanas, which is what I want. That's what I want more than anything in this Heroes of the Storm. If anything, I want more of it. But I think the first 2 points I'm totally on board with, Tao. It's been a long time since we brought it up, but for years on this show, we've talked about how the game, yes, it don't get rid of reporting and bans and suspensions, but also you should add a complementing system. So add something where I can say, hey, that person was a great leader. Hey, that person was really good at reporting. Hey, that person was an awesome solo laner. Let me go out of my way to complement my teammates outside of just an upvote system, which goes on to mean less than nothing. The upvote system is pointless. Why is it there? I go, oh yeah, I got an upvote, and then move on with my life. I get nothing out of it. I get no reminder that I was upvoted. I can't go back and see how many times I got a +1 from someone. It's pointless. So yeah, I think some sort of accommodation system could go a very long way to make Heroes a more positive place to be.
We're definitely we're messing with psychology here. What if the MVP screen tallied up? Like something as simple as ding, like you defended, you bulwark, you absorbed 1%, 50% of the enemy damage. Like instead of just showing a number, we go, moving on. Just watching a number goes up makes us, is it going to stop? Oh my God, that number's more than 1. And our brains start to acknowledge it. You should be spending some time at the end screen going, what was my damage? Was this effective damage? Was I poisoning them but not completing any kills? How much damage did we deal and the enemy tank absorbed? There's a lot of information for you to learn off of. It's just kind of unexciting, boring, and it starts at a very high number often and doesn't evolve from there. When it comes to complement systems, you're asking for effort to be put in and at the end of something in the wrong place. I really think that, well, one, I just want a hero. I want Light Smites. It doesn't exist anymore because I believe he left Riot. But there was this fabulous Reddit called Light Smites where you could go read people who were like, oh, I don't know why I got reported. I don't know why I've been banned from this game. And Light would show up and be like, here's your chat log and you're toxic. Get the hell out. And it was great. And I'd love for us to have an individual that was the representation of the paladin character we need on the Blizzard team. So when I see, is the reporting system working? I don't think system. I don't know about a system. That sounds pretty insane. You're asking me to believe. I can believe in a person, though. And if you said, hey, is Paladin Kronos doing their job? I'd be like, hell yeah, Paladin Kronos is doing their job. I love that guy. And I love watching him trash and dunk on toxic people in my video game. That's probably not going to happen because it's a team-based thing. And it would mean somebody, likely an introvert who designs video games or helps with video games, stepping forward into the light and taking that on.
I would like both. Let's get accommodations, but let's also get someone on the Heroes team to effectively open up Heroes of the Storm public stockades.
Yeah. I think that in terms of commendation systems, Final Fantasy XIV is doing it right. And that is a mentor system with a novice system. And when you show up in a dungeon in Final Fantasy XIV, you forcibly have a little leaf over your head, a little sprout that shows you're just mega nub. And everyone there, by participating with you, is getting rewards just by hanging out with this mega nub that you are. And people who have put effort into being a mentor have done, I don't know, like classes or something, earned achievements in helping out lots of people, now have a symbol above their heads that say they're nice people to learn from. And that would go much further, because just throwing out a commendation, and I get a lot of commendations in Final Fantasy XIV. I'm a brand new tank. It's fun to see people just being like, hey, yeah. A guy once said to me, go at your own pace. I was like, first time in this dungeon, go at your own pace. Don't worry about it. I was like, holy crap, what is this game? Who are you people? They were getting like bonus caches at the end, basically, for even hanging out with me. So it was a little sinister, but the system works. And I'd rather have it on that extreme rather than the effort put in at the end of a game, because that's minimal. The effort along the way was what matters.
Yeah, I would like all of that. To Tao's second point about the MVP page being too individual, I agree. I think it's going to take probably more than we would think effort-wise to actually get it to display other things, but it ties in very neatly with what you've been asking for a while, Kyle, which is give me information at the end of the game that is actually helpful, that is actually educational, that I can learn from. Maybe suggest other talents I could have taken depending on certain things that came up. Although it could also be problematic, right? Like if it's prioritizing bonus damage to slow targets over anything else, like there are times where that might not be the right call. As much as celebrating you for standing on merc camp pads instead of assisting in the team fight or going keep when 4 people were dead, might have been the better call.
Yeah, and I saw an insane case this week. It was a Varian on the bottom objective on Volskaya during some gold coaching. Mm-hmm. And it was 4v5 in the middle. Yeah, our team was doing the 4 versus the 5, and they all died. And Varian, in his infinite knowledge, stood on that pad till the final moment and died too, when clearly you could say, everyone just died. I should probably back up and hide behind the wall, because they're going to come in and, hey, it's Volskaya. I may have 60 points into this thing, but they're going to still be working on it by the time my team reses and we can give this another go. He died and said, oh my God, why aren't you all in the objective? And then proceed as the only tank to avoid the team. As in, like, he would be soaking a distant lane while we were on the core. He was straight. There was a point where the Rhaegar on the team said, let's just team up with Varian. Let's just go in his lane and we'll make him be a part of us. And Varian left. The second the team fight would go, he'd run to another lane, like forcibly leave. The core was at 20%. If he would have participated, they would have won. But he just was determined to make sure that team lost. And it seems insane to me, because anyone who values their league would just think to themselves, well, I'm winning. Like, I see this all the time, people just being toxic in Diamond and Masters. But you start winning, they're like, well, I do want points at the end of the day. I mean, we're winning, so why not? I guess I can. But for 15 minutes straight, for this guy to be infuriated and just channel inward and then end up on the final screen rewarded for standing on that pad till death was insanity. Complete insanity. And it's not something we talk about on the show because I do not see it in my league. And plats are certainly toxic. but they want to keep winning too. It's just not something you're going to witness in the leagues we talk about on this show.
If I don't know, I also think maybe it's not as important. Like, we just spent essentially 10 minutes talking about how unimportant the end screen is. So if it is unimportant, does it even matter? Other than our own personal, we're looking inward going, that jerkwad made the board. That makes me mad.
It's right, though. It's in the right place. I like the MVP screen. And without it, when the game was pre-Overwatch influence, it just kind of ended and you went, oh, okay. Well, I guess that was that. And we sort of had some stats at the end. It doesn't help self-analysis. And it is wrong a lot of the time and then forces bad players to think they're good. But it's a celebration that feels right. I want to spend that time there. I don't think we have to re-see a play. I think that in Overwatch has always been kind of weird. It's nice to get it yourself, but otherwise.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't really care about the end screen. The only time I feel good on the end screen is when I get MVP. Any other accolade I don't care about because I think they're all kind of pointless.
Unless there's a quest. Sometimes there's a quest to get something weird.
That does not make me feel better about it.
Okay.
I wish those quests didn't exist. But I don't, I do. Actually, yeah. Now, dude, you're going to tilt me even harder. I think those quests are going out of their way to teach us bad habits.
Okay.
Like really out of our way. Really, really, really out of their way.
Interesting. Maybe we get rid of the sides. Now, the MVP is pretty accurate because it's often tied to deaths and what you were able to accomplish with low deaths. Maybe we cut off the side dudes.
I wish it was more comp dependent. Which is, we've been dancing around this the whole time. It's in the same vein. You know, you play against an ETC. You should get accommodate, I would love to get called out at the end on the screen for the most mosh pit interrupts. Like something like that would be interesting. Because it's just so generic. Play. Like, oh, you healed X amount of, who cares? You're a healer. You better have.
Yeah. Clutch heals. You heal people while they were low. Well, you know what you were supposed to be doing the whole time? Clutch heals. Yeah,
exactly. I guess they're all just generic ass participation trophies, and they're all lame. If they were more tailored to the game you just played, and gave you useful information, then I would be interested in them.
Interesting.
But that's, I think, more or less in line with what Tao here is saying.
Matt, it's a faster horse kind of situation for me because I really I want that moment. I want that moment of reflection. I want you to say, that was a game. Wow. Nice half hour of your life, bro. Let's think about it. And I do. I wanted to encapsulate more of what happened. I'm not sure how to do that.
Yeah. But moving on, Jordan wrote in this week and said, I apologize if this point is all over Reddit, but after listening to you talk about wanting the new hero to be part of the Blizzard IP sphere, I think this was actually a great time to get a Nexus character. You talk about the internet is continuously surprised that this game is still chugging on. Talking about sites like Kotaku, Polygon, any place that was running a Heroes of the Storm story last week. Pretty much all of them were. If you missed last week's episode, or 2 weeks ago, I think is when we first talked about that. Anyways, Jordan continues, we'd probably all agree this is a good thing. The more people are talking about how this game still has life in it, the more people will be returning or checking it out for the first time. The advent of Kira is more evidence that the devs are still putting actual work into this game and not just shoddily maintaining a broken down vehicle. They had to make something from scratch instead of just piggybacking on ideas they've used before in other realms, especially Overwatch characters that are generally more direct ports. Now, I'll agree that in general, I'd like them to keep with Blizzard IPs, but in this case, I think Kira was the better move. Reinhardt may have been more exciting because of familiarity, but it wouldn't display the work and effort still going into the game as much as she did. My 2 cents, keep up the good content, guys. is one of those unique positions where I disagree with a lot of what Jordan is saying here, but I also agree with the overall point, which I think it was a perfect time for Kira. And I also really like Kira. So like I said last week, how it's like, no, I don't want unique characters. I just want more of IP bashing, which is what I came to Heroes of the Storm for. But Kira's good, and I think her kit's one of the more entertaining ones we've seen in a very long time. So it's another one of these like, no, I don't really agree with you, Jordan. But yeah, I'm with you on Kira.
Right. You mentioned on the instance you guys were talking about mounts and that you just needed a sound bite to play every time you say, I don't agree with it, but this is the world. We need that for Super Smash Bros. We all thought this was going to be Super Smash Bros. They wanted to do their own thing. Doesn't really matter now. Moving on. And that's the clip we play whenever one of these conversations.
Right, exactly. Really, like, there's a lot of like little points in here that I just completely disagree with. But it's also like I don't feel that strongly. Like so Jordan, when I say that when you say where was it? Now I lost my place. They had to make something from scratch instead of just piggybacking on ideas they've used before in other realms. I mean, I think that's really generalizing how difficult it probably is to make a kit, whether that kit is very similar to something we've seen before or not. I think one of the more impressive things about the Overwatch heroes is just how much they play like their first-person shooter counterparts. This is not a first-person shooter. The fact that Tracer feels like Tracer and you're playing her from a isometric viewpoint, I think that's crazy. I can't believe they pulled it off. If anything, I think one of the main reasons I don't like Zarya is because it doesn't really feel like I'm playing Zarya. She feels super clunky and weird. Like, I think Tracer and Tracer, Genji, basically every Overwatch hero is extremely successful in my mind of capturing how they feel in the first-person shooter, except for Zarya.
I've got issues with Zarya. First of all, I love playing her. I think she's a lot of fun. I think shields are really fun. I'm a disc priest, so what can I say? In terms of like farming Stormbolts and all the things we complain about quests, Zarya is a constant quest of being like, hey, tower range, wah, running into tower range, boo, 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 max energy, and then like burn down the lane. And it's just stupid. It's ridiculous that is a strategy. It's a great strategy. It darn well works. Hot damn does it work. It's a great way to get stacks. You see some poison characters, Gul'dan, stuff like that, Zarya, money. Being confident on Zarya is really cool, but oh man, it feels bogus sometimes. You've got characters like Uther too, which are so different, yet so the same from their Warcraft 3 counterparts, like Holy Radiance. I often bring up Zul'jin Axes, but Holy Radiance is one of these where it's just like, who came up with this ability? It has nothing to do. Where's my devotion aura? I guess this spreads armor, so we're getting there. Stukov, one that's not anything like his counterpart in StarCraft 2, and I don't feel like captures the fantasy of an infested Terran, but he's got some really cool micromanaging with his dots and his pustules that make me feel like I'm battlefield controlling. That gives me kind of a Brood War sort of feel to it, and that's an achievement. And I do think it's a very flashy character that shows off what this engine is capable of, and that is a really cool thing to hit right now. It's an achievement that this character exists. I'd also like to point out a bit of a tinfoil hat theory I have that I think goes with Jordan here. They just updated the art on the Play Heroes site, and it is very skin heavy, if you will. The main picture they added is Orphea in the middle with Malthael and Alexstrasza on the side. Those are the characters that embody the Nexus. Interesting choices. All right. I kind of get it, right? You know, you're proud of Orphea and people get weird on Alexstrasza, so, you know, you want to bring them in. People get weird on Malthael, or not Mal'Ganis. Mal'Ganis is sitting here. Like, do people get weird on him? Is he super handsome? I think he's great. I want to play him more often. I need regen tanks, so no thank you at the moment, but I love playing him. When we get to the lower art, it is Blaze out of his suit. It's Mechaterial. It's Diva in her mech skin. And it's Mecha Dahaka. We just got out of the mech event. Maybe that's why it's so mech heavy, but it's interesting that the face of Heroes forward in the center is Orphea. and a lot of their expansions on what they've done with heroes like Blaze.
Yeah. I mean, this is based off of nothing other than my own observations, but I really think every team at Blizzard walks into BlizzCon, sees the giant banners, and if you're on Hearthstone or Heroes of the Storm, at some point they went, "Oh, you can't really tell ours. We need a unique character," and that's why we've got Orphea and now Kira, and that's why we got those weird ass also ran Pixar shorts for Hearthstone.
That's true.
Like, that's another game. Like, we don't really talk about it much on Angry Chicken, except for like when it first came out. But they also came up with their own characters on top of already coming up with their own characters, which really confuses me over on Hearthstone. It's like they came up with League of Explorers, and yeah, like Bran was already around, but Elise and Reno and Sir Finley were unique to Hearthstone. So why did we come up with like generic ass characters nobody who plays Hearthstone gives a flying crap about because they're not even in the game? I don't get it. It's weird.
I mean, the song,
like, if you think it's weird in Heroes of the Storm, is what I'm saying, is it's even weirder over in Hearthstone.
We're just missing that edge, you know. It's not quite Animaniacs. It's not Disney. It's still kind of like Swan Princess kind of level song. It's still a little off.
It's not a good song. Which, again, coming out of Hearthstone, where their expansion songs are freaking incredible.
Are people embarrassed? Is the team is like, oh, BFA crap. let's all just make up our own things.
Yeah, I don't know. Strange for sure. So, it's weird stuff, dude. But yeah, I think it was a good time for Kira. I don't, if it was Reinhardt, I don't think it would have gotten the same press.
No, I think she's just very impressive kit wise too. It's very unique and shows once again what the engine is capable of. I remember thinking of things like Dahaka and being like, wow, that's quite impressive interacting with bushes. Well, hot damn. And to push that this age of the game is really nice to see and makes me more excited for future heroes.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your emails and your questions sent into the Patreon Discord, everybody. Keep them coming, itncast@gmail.com. That's going to wrap it up for this episode. Thanks again, everyone supporting us over at patreon.com/ITN, especially our producers, Declan H, Cheesy Bob, Chris K, Robert M. Thank you so much. We've got shirts available over at shirts.amove.tv. Go check it out. You can catch us live Thursdays at 3 p.m. Eastern Time right here on twitch.tv/AMoveTV. Come on over, join the live chat, make some friends, and follow us on Twitter at ITNcast. Kyle, you do other things, though, besides Into the Nexus. You're playing a lot of heroes. You're streaming it. You're doing live role play. You have some solo shows going now. Where can everybody find you?
You can find that all over at KyleFergusson.com. 2 S's in Fergusson. You can also follow me over on Twitch at twitch.tv/KyleFergusson. But hey, let's talk about the good place there is to hang out in the Nexus. It's called AMove TV, and it is /join in the chat space, AMove TV. In full, no dots or anything in there like that. Awesome people, always looking to quick match, hang out. Lots of people looking for Storm League partners too in there. Don't play alone if you don't have to. Unless you're weird like me and you're just like, what a puzzle. I don't know these people. Who are we? Like, not everyone's me. Find friends, play with them, have a sane time. The more people you avoid that are trolls, the less chance to get trolled. So, hey, it's a great place to hang out.
Can't recommend it enough. I'm Garrett Art on Twitter, 2 R's and 2 T's and Garrett. Everything I do this show included is over at amove.tv. Had a great Angry Chicken this week. Cora joined us. It could have been more perfect timing because she's about to go get herself hired by Blizzard and won't be able to be on a podcast about Hearthstone very, very soon. So I was stoked we were able to get her in before she went to go join Team 5. So go listen to that and just go to amove.tv for all the other podcasts. Go check it out. That's going to wrap it up for this episode. We'll be back next week with episode 283 of Into the Nexus. But until then, good luck and have fun.
Take care.